Hey guys, this is Aaron Ubertech, and today's video is going to be a quick one. It's going to be how to remove the extractor for an M&P Shield. Before we start the video, I'd like to ask everybody to please support the channel and subscribe. Every subscriber helps the channel grow. Thanks, and now let's get back to the video. So some of the things you're going to need, not all these things are going to be mandatory, but they're just helpful. So for instance, if you have a hammer, great, but if you have the nylon side like this, that's even better because you don't want to mar up your slide. But if you don't have it, you can still get it done as long as you don't mind being extra careful with your slide. Also, a 90-degree pick, that again is not mandatory, but it does make things easier, and I'll show you when it comes up. And a 1/16 punch and an armorer's block. Again, doesn't have to be this one, but this is the one I'm going to be using today. And if you want to get this armorer's block, I'll put a link in the description. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're safe, and how we do that is by pushing the mag release. Mag comes out. You're still not safe yet. Hold the gun like this, pull back on the slide while pushing forward on this hand, and you can see that there's nothing in there. And so now what we have to do is we have to push up on this slide lock while pulling the slide to the rear, just like this. So there's two options to removing the slide from the grip module, and the first one is by pulling the trigger, and the second one is there's this green or yellowish bar right here that I'm pointing at, and that would have to be moved downward just like that. Once that's in position, then what you would do is you would slide this to the 6 o'clock position, then you would take the slide and pull to the rear, and you'll hear the slide lock release, and then you can follow it forward just like that. The next thing we're going to do is pull the recoil spring upward and take that out, and then the next thing we do is take out the barrel. Now we're going to have to remove the firing pin right here, and how we do that is we take our 90-degree pick, and right there is that little white plastic piece, and what we have to do is we have to get on top of that plastic piece like this, and then we have to pull that downward. And then when we pull this down and we have it compressed, then we're going to take our finger and we're going to slide off the rear plate like this. That comes off. And see how much easier it is with the 90-degree pick. You could just do a claw kind of movement, and then you're free to do whatever you want with this hand. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to push this circle in, and that will release the firing pin. So I'm going to put my finger on the back here just so this way the firing pin doesn't come flying out, just in case. Normally won't, but there you go. Compress. And now keep in mind, when you're compressing this, you're compressing inward, like you're going down, and then that will release the firing pin. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the extractor. And how we do that, there is this pin right here that has to be punched out, and you're going to do that with the 1/16 punch. Now keep in mind, when you do this, the pin is right here, and you notice the armorer's block has this opening area right here. So I'm going to place the pin where the pin is, right over where the gap is, so this way it has somewhere to go downward. So you're going to place the punch right on top of where the pin is, just like this. And then you're going to take the hammer and you're going to tap it out. And then once you get to this part where the pin has come out, you can see the pin's right there. Once that came out, put that aside. I leave the punch in there so this way this doesn't come flying out. What you want to do is you want to put your thumb over this portion right here, because this is spring loaded. So you want to push in on the spring loaded part, and then this becomes really loose. So if I don't, you see that that punch is not coming out, but if I push in, that punch will slide right on out by itself. So what you're going to do is you're going to release the pressure on your thumb, and there you go. Here's your extractor right there. Over here is the spring, and there you go. Spring is out, and that's it. You have removed your extractor. So now that you have everything out, again, I have a whole nother video on how to remove the firing pin and how to clean this. So I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. If you have this out and you're just doing a cleaning, then you might just want to wipe this down. You want to get into this groove right here, and here, and here, and then also back in this area where the spring was. And then also wipe down this groove right in here. I've already cleaned mine, so me doing this, I'm not going to get that much out of it, but you can go up and down in here with a patch, just like this, or whatever you have. If you have like those industrial paper towels or whatever, go in that little circle area, go around like that. As you can tell, like I said, I've already cleaned mine. It's not really that dirty. And then so right here, right in this area here, this is probably where a lot of the dirt is going to just lay. So you can put something over like that and go like this, back and forth, up and down, and see you can get more of that fouling out of there. Once you've wiped this down and also wipe down everything else like your spring and the area where the extractor lays, you're good to go. You can put everything back. So now that that's all done, let's put everything back together. So how we get everything back together is we take our spring, we put our spring right into this circle area right here. Okay, so it's going to drop in just like this, and it doesn't matter which side you put the spring in. So just like that. Then we take our extractor and then we place that just like this. And as you can see, the round side is going to go right over the spring just like this. So now that we have this in place, what we're going to do is we're going to take our pin and we're going to put it into this hole right here. We're just going to start it. We're not actually going to feed it all the way through yet, but we're just going to get it started. So take your hammer, tap it in a little bit. So now it's in there and it's started. So this way it won't fall out when we try to tap it all the way in. The important part here is that when we start tapping this piece back in, what we want to do is we want to keep our thumb right over this area, right here, right in this area, because we have to compress that spring, and then this way it lines up the holes right here. So it's going to look something like this. So you're going to do this, compress that spring. I'm using the nylon part right here, and we're just going to tap that in. Now, you're going to feel it immediately. As soon as this pin goes into the hole where the extractor is, you're going to feel the extractor pull away from you, and it's going to stay compressed, just like this is. Now what I do is I tap this in, and again, the reason why I'm using the nylon side is because if I do hit the slide of the gun, it's not going to mar the slide. So we're going to keep tapping, and then once we're flush here, just like this, see how we're flush? We're going to take our punch and we're going to place it over the pin just like this, and we're going to finish tapping it in. It's going to look like this. So we would keep tapping this pin in until you could see it's flush with the slide. You could see it's not sticking up. And also underneath, you want to make sure that the pin is not sticking out underneath the slide. So you could see this is flush. So now that we know that that's installed correctly, now we could move on and install our firing pin. So let's take our firing pin, and this part right here goes into this hole right here with this silver piece facing upward, and it's going to go into this open area right here. So we're going to slide this in just like that. And what we're going to do is once you push it in, it's going to eventually hit a wall. It's going to feel like you're hitting a wall, and that's because you have to compress this circle. See how you compress it and it just fell right in? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your back plate on, and keep in mind that the back plate has these edges right here along this side all the way around to this side, and then those edges are going to go into this open area and this open area. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to compress this plastic piece, because you can see it's in our way, and once you compress that in, then we can slide the back plate in. And how we do that is same thing that we were doing before with the 90-degree pick, we're going to compress with our finger here. So it's going to be, see where that white piece is? We're going to be above that. So it's going to look like this. So see how we're above it and we're able to compress it down? See that? So we're going to compress it down, and then we take our back plate and we put it in here, just like I showed you before. There you go. And we're just going to put it in there, just like that, and it slides in. And now we're back in place. So the back plate is in, our firing pin is in, and we're almost done. Next, we're going to install the barrel, and this portion of the barrel is going to go into this hole right here, but from the inside, and it's going to look something like this. The barrel block right here is going to fall into place, just like that. Once that's in, take your recoil spring. The fat end right here will go into here, just like this. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to compress this recoil spring that way while pushing downward, and it's going to look something like this. I want to note one thing before we try to get our slide onto the grip module. If this spring, the recoil spring, is not lined up with the barrel, this piece actually right here, it will eventually hit this silver part right here, and it won't let you lock the slide to the rear. And I can actually reproduce that by just pushing it to the left. Let's just say like that. Try to put the slide on. And how I know instantly that I've done this is this portion of the recoil spring is still showing, and I could start compressing it. See, it's like compressing, it's stopping on that silver part. So it locks up like this, or sometimes it'll let you slide all the way to the rear, but the slide lock will never engage because it can't go far enough to engage on the slide lock. To combat that, you want to make sure that the spring is perfectly straight. You also want to make sure that the spring is pushed downward as far as possible. Once you've lined up the recoil spring properly, then you're going to take these two rails and slide them into this area and this area. So these two open areas. And it's going to look something like this. Now, once I get to this part, I know instantly that my recoil spring was lined up properly and it's not hanging up on that silver part because you do not see the recoil spring anymore. This black piece from the slide is butt up against the grip module. What we're going to do now is we're going to push up on the slide lock while pulling the slide to the rear, and it locks just like that. Take your takedown lever and push that to 3 o'clock position, just like this. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to raise that yellow bar back up, just like that. Just a note, if you don't pull that bar up and you let the slide go forward, when you pull the trigger, it won't activate the firing pin. So now that we have the bar in the correct position, pull the slide to the rear until you hear the slide lock release, just like that. So what I do now is do a function test, and how you do that is place your hand like this, pull back on the slide a few times, point the gun in a safe direction, pull the trigger. Everything sounds like it's working perfectly. You have successfully removed your extractor and put it back together. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't already, like I said before, support the channel and subscribe. Every subscriber helps. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one.